Lots of conversations been taking place in this country with regards to crime in America. There was a heated congressional hearing today in Washington, D.C., where members of Congress were debating this very issue. And so a major discussion, fireworks erupted literally between the congressman from Florida, Maxwell Frost, as well as New Mexico Congresswoman Melody Stansbury and Louisiana Congressman Clay Higgins. They went back and forth over the issue of extending the National Guard in the nation's capital. Donald Trump, of course, ordered that to take place, for, as he said, to tamp down crime. Well, Ford questioned Higgins on why, Frost, questioned Higgins on why he was not calling for the National Guard troops in his home state of Louisiana, as he was in the capital city, given that crime rates in Louisiana are a lot higher. Here is that contentious back and forth between these three.
Did the president ask you to do this?
We're debating the bills as we speak. That's what a markup is.
Mr. Comer, did the president ask you to hold this?
I haven't talked to the president.
Was this markup called pursuant to the president's occupation of Washington, D.C.?
We've had this markup on the books for a long time.
And so there was no coordination.
You're participating in a markup.
There was no coordination with the White House on this markup.
I haven't talked to the White House, but I mean, there's always coordination.
So you didn't consult with the White House on this bill?
We support the president's.
You didn't consult with the White House on the development of a bill that would create the actual entity that he said he wanted? There was no coordination with the White House on this bill?
We support what the president's done. We've sat back and watched, and we've seen the crime rates go down significantly in Washington, D.C., and we want to make sure that crime stays down in Washington, D.C. If you don't like the bill, you can vote against it.
No, I'm asking you a question because we haven't heard this bill. Was this bill drafted in coordination with the White House? I'm asking the question.
It's not my bill.
Okay. Does the sponsor want to answer that question?
I would say that we support President Trump, and bottom line.
It's just a simple question. Did you coordinate with the White House in the development of this bill?
People are dying in Washington, D.C.
Why can't you answer the question?
Mr. Chairman, we need order. We need order. Mr. Chairman.
It's just a question.
This isn't a debate. Mr. Chairman, we need order.
This actually is the debate. That is exactly what a markup is, my dear. This is a debate over the bill.
This should be common sense. We're just trying to keep the American people safe. They're dying in D.C.
I just asked you a simple question.
And we are looking at President Trump's plan has worked.
Washington, D.C.
So we are going to codify what President Trump did to keep the American people safe.
Okay, thank you.
I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or Independent. We love you. But we've got to keep you safe.
Okay, let me ask you another question. I'm going to ask the sponsor this question. Have you ever been inside of City Hall? Yes or no?
I have not.
Have you ever attended a city council meeting here in Washington, D.C.?
I have spoken with people all over D.C. and restaurants and everything else.
Have you ever attended a city council meeting here in Washington, D.C.?
And they thank us that they can walk down the street and walk their dog and ride on a subway without getting stabbed.
Did you consult with the mayor or the council or any members of law enforcement
without people coming out of Baltimore and other places because they know the laws are too lax here and it's not safe?
I'm asking the sponsor of this bill, did you consult with the mayor or the city council in the development of this bill?
I consulted with the people of Washington, D.C.
You did? Can you tell us some of who you consulted with? Can you tell us who you consulted with, sir?
Congress has jurisdiction over Washington, D.C., but I'm
asking you a very simple question. Who did you consult with? Did you consult with
I just answered you, but you're not.
Did you consult with the law enforcement of Washington, D.C.?
I talked to police officers as well, yes.
I'm asking the gentleman
I spoke with law enforcement. I spoke with restaurant owners. I spoke with people walking their dogs all around D.C.
Oh, and they said, to people walking their dogs. That's
thank God we can walk down the street without being stabbed or mugged to be part of a drive-by. I can't believe a Democrat, Republican, Independent would not like this common sense legislation that keeps people safe.
Do you live in the Washington, D.C. area?
Well, the gentlelady.
We're all here.
I'm asking you.
I've been here 9 months.
Are you a resident of Washington, D.C.?
Recognize her colleague from Louisiana?
Sir, I have my time here. I'm asking the sponsor of the bill. You have debate time on your own. There's plenty of time to debate. Do you live here in the city of Washington, D.C.?
We are all here in D.C. representing our districts across the country.
Exactly, sir.
And we have jurisdiction over Washington, D.C.
That is exactly my point. If you wanted to run for mayor of Washington, D.C., then you can move to Washington and run in a democratic, free, and fair election.
Time's expired.
Actually become a city official.
Any other members seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman. I'd like
Mr. Chairman.
Higgins.
I'd just like to say that I'm glad that the gentlelady just performed in the manner that she did, because America is watching. You and I don't really know each other, so I don't mean this in a personal way. I'm just observing that your display. Thank you for enhancing the point I'm about to make. Your display demonstrates exactly the sort of elitist, arrogant tone that Americans across the country are going to recognize as the hallmark of your party. So we sit back and I would yield my entire time to carry on like that, like to demonstrate to the American people, this is what the Democrat Party
would like to yield your time. I'm happy to take more time.
Arrogant elitism. And as you stated to me, good lady, you can have your own debate time. Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Would you yield a minute to me? I have a question. I have a question.
Mr. Higgins yields back, and I just want to make sure everyone knows. Mr. Higgins spent his career in law enforcement. Mr. McGuire was a Navy SEAL. And I think they're sincere in their efforts and what we've seen over the last 3 weeks in the massive reduction in crime in Washington, D.C. And I appreciate their opinion and words of advice, and just wanted to make sure everyone knew what we were dealing with here. Now, does any other member seek recognition? Mr. Frost.
No, I just have a question for my colleague from the state of Louisiana, because I'm curious as to where your bill is. Louisiana is the state with the second highest rate of deaths in this nation. You are more likely to be shot standing on a random street in your state than you are in Washington, D.C. So my question is, where's your bill for the occupation of the state of Louisiana to keep your people safe, if you're at all sincere in this?
Gentlemen, yield for an answer.
I yield for an answer.
I support state rights. I'm a constitutionalist.
But not D.C.?
Stand by. As a constitutionalist, I support my state, my sovereign state's legislature, which is doing everything it can to push back upon the crime rate of the Democrat-controlled cities.
Okay, so I'll take my time back. I'll take my time back.
If you remove
That's the rules.
the crime stats
That's
of
the
New
rules.
Orleans,
I'll take my time back. I'll take my time back. So you only invoke the rules when other people are speaking, not when you're speaking. Okay.
That's your time.
I agree with you. Look, I'm for state sovereignty. So what do you think about California?
California is not where I live. You asked me about my state.
See, you only care, and I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my time. I'll reclaim my time. I will reclaim my time. The gentleman will stop speaking. I will reclaim my time. You're more likely to be shot standing in a random street in your state,
This is Mr. Frost
than anywhere in Washington, D.C., and you're here because you're lapdogs to the President of the United States, who during the election last year, we said time and time again, I reclaim my time.
Down, Mr. Chairman.
All right, hold on.
My colleague just called me a lapdog for the President of the United States. I move for his words to be taken down.
A second.
We'll stand in recess for a second here. We will suspend to see about taking the words down.
Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to withdraw my remark.
Gentlemen's asked unanimous consent to withdraw his remarks. Without objection, so ordered. We will proceed with the debate. The words were taken down, and
I will continue with the reminder.
Point of order.
Mr. Frost has 3 minutes. Okay, point of order.
My point was that Mr. Frost has a right to his time.
Yeah,
Unobstructed time, an opportunity to speak. And I think if we afforded him that right under the rules, then we wouldn't have this back and forth.
That's fine. He started by asking if people would yield to a question. I think that's how it all started.
He reclaimed his time, at least a half a dozen times.
I'm giving him 3 minutes. Well, even though I don't have to because of the rules, I'm giving him 3 minutes.
You're running this hearing, sir.
Okay, I'm giving.
Not a spectator.
Okay, you got 3 minutes, Mr. Frost. Go ahead.
This body is full of lapdogs, doing exactly what the president wants, when he wants it, not pushing back. And what we just heard, this exchange with me and my colleague, is indicative of the problem here. None of you know anything about Washington, D.C. You're talking about a so-called, walking down the street and talking with people that are walking their dogs, people in the restaurants you go to, which might not be full of people from D.C. anyway. And it's just sad. It is sad. We need D.C. statehood. There are people, yes, we need D.C. statehood. We need to put this behind us. We need to stop, it's wild to me that we're here debating with people from the Republican Party, a party that's supposed to be about states' rights and local rule and people, the consent of the governed, which is fundamental to our Constitution and this country. But before you, we have activists, organizers, people who are here to say that they want a voice. They want to be represented by the government that they pay taxes to. Free DC. Free DC. And it's just grand to sit here with other members who have higher murder rates than Washington, D.C., but not invite the president to occupy their own state with the military. So I think it's important that we're here today to have this debate, because this is a debate about what's going on in Washington, D.C. and why every American should be concerned. And why, of course, every American should be concerned about what the president's doing, but in many cases, even more concerned about the fact that Congress and that Republicans in Congress want to do nothing about it. And in fact, they want to enable it and do anything the president says. The gentleman couldn't even answer the question about if the bill was drafted with the White House. We know it was drafted with the White House. And so we say free D.C., and we'll continue to fight for the people of Washington, D.C., who deserve for their home to be a state, who deserve for their local officials that they voted for, their city council, their members, to make decisions about how to make sure that this is a safer place. And I gotta say, when we talk about crime, when we talk about violence, gun violence has been going down in this country the last 3 years. We still have a lot of work to do, but you guys talk about it and nothing happens. We put forth solutions and pass bills like the Safer Communities Act, and violence goes down in this country. That's the difference between us. I yield back.
Folks, my panel, Dr. Zachary Kirk, educator and content creator out of Atlanta. Rebecca Carruthers, she is president and CEO. Fair Election Center out of Washington, D.C. Tyler McMillan, social justice leader and movement strategist out of D.C. as well. Rebecca, I want to start with you. That debate that you saw right there, to me, really speaks to a very basic fundamental issue. I love how Congresswoman Stansbury just walked through by saying to Congressman Clay Higgins of Louisiana, have you ever been to a D.C. council meeting? Have you ever actually talked to the folks? No, he said, I heard from people in D.C. restaurants. So here's a member of Congress from Louisiana who literally knows nothing about Washington, D.C., who operates in this sort of safe zone of areas around the Capitol or whatever. And he's opining about the nation's capital. He's not he cannot point to you on a map the high crime areas in Washington, D.C. And then when challenged about the very high crime rates in his own state, then he wants to get upset.
The congressman from Louisiana said that he also listened to people out walking their dogs. And what I have to say to that is, I guess lap dogs do technically get walked too. He couldn't even answer the basic question of whether or not there was coordination with the White House. We absolutely know that any White House with its majority, with its party in the majority in Congress, coordinates on domestic policy. That is indeed fact. That's something that happens in DC regardless of the political party. So it was really interesting watching them, watching the Republican lawmakers in that hearing trying to run away from the fact that this has Trump's fingerprints all over it. And in fact, the legislation, the particular bill could have been drafted by the Trump White House. Like, to say that it is what it is. But the bottom line is DC has fought for statehood for decades. And, criticism that I launched, I think last month on your show, Roland, is that there have been times when the Democratic Party has had a trifecta. They've held the White House, held the Senate, and held the House. So at some point, this should be a nonpartisan issue, but I would also expect the Democratic Party to want to support DC statehood. So DC is not stuck in the position in which it is now, where it's fighting this MAGA-led Congress on whether or not home rule will continue.
See, the thing for me here, as I listen to all of this stuff back and forth, and what makes no sense to me, Zachary, is okay, if you want to actually have a real, grown-up, thorough discussion about how do you reduce crime, then you have to have a real, grown-up, thorough, sobering question about the things that contribute to crime. I have literally had conversations. I remember I was in Wichita, Kansas, giving a speech. It was an MLK Day program, and I was sitting with the police chief. He was at our table, and he had worked in Philadelphia. And I turned to him and I said to him, Chief, tell me if I'm wrong or not, that you have lower crime in areas of Wichita or anywhere in the country where the credit score, John Hope Bryant talks about this all the time, where the credit score is 700 or higher. He said, it's a fact. There's lower crime in more economically prosperous areas. That tells you right there, if you want to confront crime, you have to deal with the conditions of crime. And this is why this whole discussion is stupid and idiotic, because it has nothing to do with reducing crime. It has to do with a show of force. It has to do with trying to create a television show. It has to do with I get to use the military any way I decide.
And it has to do with I get to distract the American people and the media that is beholden to me from the fact that the Epstein files have not been released. Now, that's a big piece of it, too. Roland, lap dogs don't have real conversations with their masters. Now, the masters may sit here and pretend like the lap dogs are having conversations with them. They may put words in their mouths and have fictitious, imaginary scenarios, but real conversations aren't happening. When this man was called a lap dog, I immediately thought of a blue tick coonhound, which is a dog commonly found in the representative's home state of Louisiana. Except in this case, this blue tick coonhound is not going to be hunting for coons, well, maybe to collect them for enjoyment and pleasure and keeping them entertained. All of that to say, Roland, you're absolutely right. They're not wanting to fix the problem of crime. They're not wanting to address the problems of crime. They're only wanting to distract and to cause chaos among the American people so they can increase their authoritarian power and help bring about the downfall of democracy. Louisiana is a state that has two cities, not just one, because some of you may be thinking of New Orleans as having a higher crime rate than DC or Los Angeles, but it also has Alexandria. Two cities in one state, this man states, that has higher crime rates than both DC per capita as well as Los Angeles. This man needs to sit down, get back in the lab.
And Tyler, I mean, that's political theater. Having the guard go to the city, this is political theater, It's literally not about how do we address the issue. Yes, there are short-term things that can be done in terms of dealing with, look, when I was in Fort Worth, they had with these surges in terms of when they had spikes in crime, how they would then come on with a surge. But the police chief there, when I was there, would say, this is not sustainable. You still have to confront the underlying condition. And here you have Republicans sitting there who control the budget of D.C., the same people who pulled $1 billion out of the budget. So you can't complain about a condition, or you can't complain about something when you were a contributor to the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will continue to echo the words that it's ironic how troubling it is that members of Congress are so focused on policing people of D.C., and stripping them of their autonomy while their districts are in chaos. And instead of addressing the poverty, violence, and economic disinvestment plaguing their communities, they are actually elected to represent. They're so busy focused on the people of D.C. And I would, shout out and kudos to Representative Frost, because I think, his leadership shows a generational shift in what we need. And because this crime bill, it just mirrors the decades of failed tough on crime that we have seen on Black communities and the underfunding of communities. And as you said, instead of doubling down on this system of mass incarceration that's continue to put Black bodies in this system, we should be focused on passing the BREATHE Act that invests in community safety through healthcare and education and restorative justice, because I encourage them to find that better angel inside of them and vote on that budget where it really matters to protect people.
Yeah, and so again, when you look at that back and forth, and when you see the response, and you see how they just going back and forth, and I can imagine children sitting there going, "Really? This is how grown people act, huh?" So look, we're gonna continue to see this stuff go over and over and over again, and it's not gonna stop. And it's just, again, it's what is political theater, and that to me is what is most shameful of all of this.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.